right, welcome to another episode of the LogiCast. My name is Blankakong. I'm joined by not Mr. Esoteric Skills. I almost said his name, but he ain't here. But I am joined by Gunner Eos and Zeta Kaiser. Mr.
We all look the
Esoteric.
same.
Well, you guys are all boxes on Discord for me. That isn't far
You know what
off.
I meant.
I have no idea what you meant. So, Mr. Esoteric and How to Wolf are not here for this particular topic, but that's all right. We still have enough panelists to have a pretty, I think, good conversation about this controversial topic. And it's not all that controversial to me, but it is controversial to some. So, this conversation topic has been sparked by a article talking about Fire Emblem Engage and the character selection options for gender being phrased as type A and type B instead of male and female. So that prompted me to say, you know what, we should talk about this because I'm seeing this more often in games and with character creators where they stray away from using the terms male and female, which has been used forever, and favored this new kind of neutral type A, type B. I think it's obvious at this point that I am of the tradition, just put male and female, right? You either want to play as a chick or you want to play as a dude. That's it. Like you know, if you're a person who is male in real life and you identify more as female, then you can just play as a chick, right? And that should just be what you go for, right? Like that to me, that's just like the most logical approach. But now it's like this weird conversation of like, no, it should be like more vague, and I don't really understand why. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about some examples of games that have this we'll call it feature, and why we agree or disagree with it. So who wants to follow? Who wants to follow?
Okay, I'll go. I'm of the same vein. I don't care for the whole type A and B. It feels like a very cheap exploitation of those on the internet that go, oh, well, the whole gender conversation and sex conversation. And it's just like, yeah, but these are video games though. And when it comes to create a character, if your character creator is robust, I don't know, I just don't have the mindset where if I see I feel a certain way. If I wanted to make a male character, but I wanted to okay, so perfect example. Before I stopped playing, I played the Endwalker expansion for Final Fantasy 14. And at that expansion they introduced male Viera. So I think I kind of just had the idea. It's like, all right, I usually play females when I play a game that has a character creation. Let me try a male this time. But I was like, let me just for science sake, let me see if I can make as a male that looks as close to a female as possible. And I was able to successfully do it. But they didn't have Final Fantasy didn't have male type A, type B. They literally still had male, female, but I was able to design the male in a certain way that it kind of looked like a female Viera. So I think if your character creator is robust enough, just make what you want. Like Monster Hunter Rise, to my knowledge, doesn't use male or type A, type B. I believe they don't do that. And I believe they still use male and female. But with Monster Hunter Rise's character creator, you can make a female character and put a full beard on her. You could put a mustache. You can use a male hairstyle. You can even use a male voice and vice versa. Like you can put makeup on your male character. You can give your male character a female hairstyle. You can give them a female voice. So if you feel a certain way about gender, you can still create a character that represents you, I suppose. without having to just go to this really generic, almost machine type language of type A, type B. That sounds like fuck. What are we? R type? Like what are we, fucking type 8 bits? Like what is this? So I don't like it. Like I know some people they take their characters very serious, and their character is a virtual stand-in for themselves. So I don't want to use the word stupid, but I feel like a lot of the outside world has penetrated video games, which is kind of for those who know, it's just like yeah, no shit, stupid. But this type A, type B shit is just it's a lazy way of doing it. Just have a good character creator, and you could just be what you want to be without having to do this generic labeling. That's just my kind of initial take on it.
Zeta, do you have any thoughts that you want to share before I?
Go off.
Mhm.
I mean, I will not be as nice. I do think it's stupid. I don't like it at all. I don't see the point of it because it seems very like a contradiction because this is like, oh, this is type A and this is type B or whatever they use, but you can look at it and be like, this is very clearly one thing or the other. And like you said, if you just have a good character creator, you'll be able to make whatever the hell it is that you want to anyways. Because like we've seen some of your creations in Elder Scrolls, good sir. You're you're abomination of beasts. But the game, that's which is like another issue I have. Like when you do this, I understand what Gunnar is saying about it's an extension of yourself, but I feel like there is a disconnect because when you do stuff like this, games tend not to refer to you as anything. Like they just whatever is the in-game nickname for you is it. Like they don't like have deeper conversations. Like they don't say like, oh, he's gonna go do this or she's gonna go do that or they, them, all the stuff like that. Like they don't acknowledge you other than as just a being. And I feel like that's like worse because it's just like, am I really even like a part of this world if nobody's like actually making any connection with me? They just call me some title and then that's it. Like
Yeah, that
at
yeah.
that point, does it even matter what body type I am? I could just be fucking a blob in the sky, and it would still be the same. So like, I feel like it's dumb if the game doesn't like make a stance to be like, all right, you are this, and we will refer to you like this because that's just how I see it. Like dialogue becomes very very just like scripted to where it's like, oh, the what the hell do they call you in freaking Fallout? In
Depends.
in four specifically.
Uh, the the Vault Dweller
I
or
swear they called you something
the
else.
Wanderer.
Yeah, there we go.
Wanderer.
They just refer to you as that. Like
Mhm.
there is no like, oh, it's the Wanderer. He's here to help us. It is always just, oh, look, it's the Wanderer, and then that's it. It's just like you're just thing in our environment. Like you're the odd person out, and I don't feel immersed. If that's the whole point of me making my character, I want to feel like I am actually a part of what's going on, not just like I feel like an outcast because there's
Hmm.
no way because they can't quantify me in any way, so they have to call me just this thing.
Hmm.
So I feel that it is stupid because if I'm supposed to make my character to what I feel represents me or something like that, but the game never like the game will never acknowledge me as anything other than just by like a title, then what was the point of me doing it? Like what's happening here? Like it feels like we're trying to cater, but at the same time we realize we can't because like we have to actually complete the game, and we can only make so many lines and so many variations of what the NPCs can say and like what outcomes can be. So it's just like, all right, well now we have to have just a streamlined story and a streamlined quest because it's not that games that don't have this, but like those games that have it, like freaking uh well, I'll get to that later. But like some games that'll have it, like if you pick a certain gender, there will be quests that you can or can't do, or the quest will be different because of what you picked, because you respond to the situation differently.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a cheap way to appease um I think certain individuals that have certain expectations and certain beliefs. And it just feels it's just annoying to see that it's having an influence because I think I'm pretty sure, and we've had this conversation. You've said this 1,000 times, Zeta, in our in our personal talks. Like the groups that they're trying to appease do, for the most part, don't even engage in the hobby. So it feels weird to like um, cater to a group of people who aren't even gamers at all. Like the people that complain on Twitter are not. They don't. They don't really play games. And I'm not saying that like you know trans people don't play video games. They obviously do, right? I know I've had trans coworkers, and I know people who are, and yeah, they're gamers, and I don't treat them any differently. They're just people, right? And they enjoy games just like I do. So it's not even that I'm trying to ostracize that group. From my understanding, and from my interactions with people from that group, they don't care. They just, again, like if this is a trans male, let's say I have a trans male friend, right? They just pick male in the game. Like that's it. Like this is what I identify as.
Yeah.
I'm a guy.
Yeah.
Done. Right? And like it's not complicated. And if the character creator is good enough, then they'll just make themselves a spitting image of themselves, or a fantastical version of what they wish they could look like. Because certainly I do that, right? In a game I usually play male, and I make this big bulking character because it's like, yeah, I wish I was that fucking big, right? Be cool if I was 6'5" or whatever, but I'm not. But that's okay because I could be 6'5" in this game, right? And that's fine. Like it's a fantasy, it's a game. It's not real. Like at no point are they gonna is a character, an NPC, going to acknowledge an option that you selected in the creator mode. Like that doesn't happen. So what's the fucking like? Why is this even a thing, right? Like it's just so stupid. Um, and one could argue that they can counter that and use it against me. Like, okay, well, why do you care? Why does it even matter if it's male or female? And my counter to that potential counter would be, well, because it's always been male or female. Like, why are we changing it now? Like, it just feels silly to me, and it feels like pandering. And it's
Oh
pandering to
yeah.
the wrong to a group of people who don't actually care. Like, it's not a
Yeah.
real issue, you know?
Yeah, like I'm trying to work this. I've never stopped or boycotted a game because they have type A, type B. Because if I
Same.
did, I would have never played the masterpiece that is Elden Ring. Elden Ring has type A, type B. When you create your character, instead of male, female, it's type A, type B. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing, but it makes the people on Twitter at least happy because they see it. But you're still making a male, you're still making a female, you can still make them hideous, you can still make them a fucking giant head, big gut, short green alien thing that runs around Limgrave. Like you could still make them that. So type A, type B doesn't mean anything. It literally means nothing. It's kind of like, oh, it looks good on paper. Look, we did it. See, we crossed the check mark off the list. We added type A, type B, and all you're doing is like you guys said, you're making the small minority on the internet happy that weren't going to buy Elden Ring to begin with, because these are the same people that are saying Elden Ring is too hard and it needs to have a difficulty slider.
Well, that's a whole
So they,
nother that's a whole
yeah,
nother
like
conversation.
they weren't your target audience, but these are like one and the same. These are
Yeah.
the same people. The people that are screaming for type A are the ones that are saying this game is too hard or this game has hairstyles that you shouldn't. Like it's the same person. And all you're doing is upsetting your actual fan base, your core fan base, who goes, wait, it's always been male and female ever since Demon Souls. or like why what the fuck's with this type A? And there are some people that probably didn't buy Elden Ring or pirated Elden Ring or will buy Elden Ring used because it had type A or B. You can call me a sellout, but I'm not going to deprive myself of what would be a great game just because it has it. But I'm not going to really fault the guy or gal that decides to boycott the game because they add that. Because as far as a company goes, if you buy the game, it says, okay, well, look at that. People really didn't mind the A and B because Elden Ring's made $1 bajillion. But so
But for them, it doesn't matter. It's like, cool, we got sale. That's all I care about.
yeah, like they appease the rabid fan base on the internet, and they still obviously made a wasn't the Twitter mob that made you your money. I can guarantee you that.
It's not a hill I'm willing to die on. It's only a topic
Yes,
because it just Zeta shared a article talking about the new Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Engage, and how they were going to have Type A, Type B instead of male, female. And I was like, huh.
Wow. No, I was gonna say, while obviously having a big titty anime girl as
Right.
type B,
A
and
blatantly
it's just,
obvious male and female. Yeah.
And it's like, why are we like that? That's the that's I don't want to say problem because it's not really a problem. Like I don't care, but it's just like it's so weird. It's like why are we doing this?
I'd argue it is it's not like an actual problem, but I would say it's a problem because like I'm looking at it and then you're trying to tell me this is type B, like type B to what? Like for there to be a type A and a type B,
It just doesn't make any sense. Like there's
yeah,
no logic behind. It's like programming language. It's like character model A, character model B. That's what they would use in like.
Yeah, and a couple years back, you would think that's that's like something that the testing team missed. It's like, whoa, wait, they
Right.
forgot to. This is just placeholder text, right?
Right, that's what it feels like, but it's
Yeah.
intentional and it's so weird. And like we said, it's to appease certain crowds. And I would argue, now that I'm thinking about it, it's not even to appease them. It's just to kind of not hear their fucking mouth. Like I think it's just like, listen, we don't want to deal with this potential bad PR, so we'll just change this text box here and then done.
yeah,
'Cause
we'll just get it out the way ahead of time.
Yeah, it's effortless. It doesn't cost much or anything, and whatever, right? But it's having an opposite effect where people of more traditional values feel slighted or feel like they're being forced this idea that is against what I would consider just basic biology, right? There are men and there are women.
Yeah, or even then, it's just like these things that weren't, because this whole thing started because of Fire Emblem, and obviously Fire Emblem is very traditional. And then it's just like, what's going on here? Like I could pick characters before, because what was it? What was the last 3DS one? Or even then, just like freaking what put Fire Emblem on the map? The freaking
Awakening.
Yeah,
Awakening. It's like you got to pick, and now
Yeah.
we're here. We're just like A and B, and it's just like this isn't what I've been playing. Where did this come from? Who made this decision?
It's so bizarre because I can remember a time where it was a big deal when you could finally play as a girl character in Pokemon. I think the first one you can play as a girl is Crystal, Pokemon Crystal. And then all the future Pokemon games you can play as a girl or a boy. And I remember hearing that go, oh, that's awesome. I have a lot of female friends who love Pokemon, but will always kind of be like, I wish I could play as a girl, right? And now that we have that, it's like devolved into this thing where it's like we can't even say that anymore. We can't say we're a girl, male, female because now there's like this new group. And it's like, what the fuck? Like when does it end? Is my point. It's like the answer is it doesn't, right? It doesn't end until humans don't exist anymore. Because we'll always find something to complain about. And this very podcast topic is exactly that. Like we're complaining about the fact that this type A, type B shit exists. And some would argue, well, why are you guys even talking about this? Like, if it doesn't matter to you, then don't talk about it. But it's so stupid that it's so stupid that I feel like we have to talk about it. Like, we have to at least acknowledge it, right?
I mean, I would argue for me personally, it matters to me because it's just I'm very pessimistic. I very much so lack optimism. So it's like when I see something going wrong, like there's no positive going forward with this. So like what's the next step once we get used to this? Like everybody makes the meme about like, oh look, we had the freaking the Skyrim horse and how everybody made a big deal about that. And then we stopped making a big deal about it. And now look at where we are with battle passes and everything else and how much things have devolved from just this horse on armor. It's not that big a deal. I don't like the whole it's not a big deal. It is a big deal because it's always a testing ground. It is never just for nothing. There's always a point to it because otherwise they would have done it already.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, DLC has become this big fucking problem where it's basically anti-consumer. And it all started with horse armor in Skyrim or Oblivion, actually. Um, so where does this lead to? I don't know. We could talk about it, right? Like, what would be the next thing, right? Do we eliminate? Is the next thing to where we eliminate type A, type B altogether, and you are just character. Your character creators, we have less options now. How does that even work? What would that even look like? Like, would there be a breast slider? Would there be a type A, type B slider? Right? Would it just be a feature like what would you call it? I can't say masculine, right? Because then that would be implied. Like, it's so weird. Like, we can't just use basic English words because somebody's gonna be like, well, that somehow offends me. It's like, well, why? Like, this is just what it is, dude. You know, the sky is the sky and the ocean's the ocean. That's it. Like, these two things are separate, but they can exist. They can coexist, right?
I mean, like even games like Cyberpunk. I know we talked about Cyberpunk earlier. Cyberpunk had it, right? But Cyberpunk gave you full customization where you can have big, massive melons and a big fucking dong all in the same character, and it's just
Yeah.
like.
But even in Cyberpunk, they still let you pick because you could only certain I guess relationships would only work if you picked the gender. That was
Bro,
right. Obviously, you don't have to look the same part, but you at least picked it.
It's crazy because you said that before I explode my PlayStation 4. Because, God forbid I have a 3090 or a PlayStation 5 at the time. I literally started the game over because I played as a female, like I usually do, and there was a character that I liked. I liked her voice actor. I liked the way the character was portrayed. I liked the look of the character. And I was like, I'm going to romance her. And then I find out she's heterosexual only. And the character that was bisexual, I didn't like. Like, I didn't like her aesthetics. I didn't like her attitude, like her storyline. So I literally stopped the game, created a new file, made a male character, got all the way back there, which the way I play Cyberpunk is the way I play fucking every Western RPG, permanently in crouch mode, moving slow as hell. So those fucking missions took forever just to romance that character. So you're right. Like, it still does happen, and there are people like me who goes, I don't have the ability of mods, so I couldn't just like tweak some numbers and make her like me. But
Or you couldn't which Fire Emblem was it? It's still another
Awakening.
one. Yeah, you couldn't get a potion and
I couldn't the lesbian potion. She just we didn't have those. But like that's just an example, a personal example of how it matters. Like, it just matters, right? If she was just a type A or a type B, then it wouldn't matter. It's like, oh, I'm a type A, we're a type A, I'm a type B, I'm a type B. We're A and B, just whatever, match up. But like, because
but
these
that's
yeah.
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But that's what I'm saying. It's like what I was saying earlier, where it's like I am not a part of this world. Like I am like an outsider
Right.
coming in because I am just a massive blob. It's like, oh well, I'm straight. Sorry. Instead
Right.
of then you had to go through that whole ordeal to fit
Right.
into the mold.
She wanted a boyfriend. And it's like, well, I want a romance character. And I have to be a man. I'm sorry. But like even progressive cyberpunk where you can attach a dick to a 6 foot tall brolic woman with double D's, it still had it. So like you said, like you said, Zeta, the whole character creation is just like it didn't matter because the game still had that one aspect, albeit a completely optional. You don't have to romance anyone in the game,
Yeah.
but because that exists, now we go back to the binaries.
Yeah. If you didn't care, you probably would have never even noticed. But you wanted to do something, you tested a feature into the game, and then for the world of the game, that character cares. Like, no, I like men. So it's like, oh,
Fuck.
well, yeah. It's like, oh, well, I guess this isn't happening, huh?
Well, that's an
And you
interesting
know,
point because that just supports what I said earlier. Where and this is a point Zeta has driven through the ground. The people who will complain about this sort of thing as to why even Type A and Type B exists is that they're people who won't even play the game because I didn't even know that was a thing, right? And like I haven't heard anybody complain about that. So that means they haven't played the game enough to get to a point where they
That's
can
usually
complain
the
about that.
story.
It's like, and that just supports the point. It's just like, wow, that this is why they. I don't know. This is why just changing male female to Type A Type B is so it works so well because most of these motherfuckers, if anything, won't even get past the character creation screen, let alone play the game.
yeah.
Right. Like yeah, in order to get to that character, that was kind of I don't want to say midway, but it was past
It wasn't in the beginning.
yeah, it was more than the first 5 minutes of the game. So like that's just a perfect example of why the binaries still matter because yeah, like has been said, I don't want to play a video game where we're all just androgynous blob people. This is not a fun game unless you're doing it unironically, then it's not fun. I don't want to play in a world like that because it's not a vibrant world with different people. It's just fucking type A's and type B's.
But even that, like, why is there two types, right? Like,
Yeah, like what is the type in relation to? Like there has to be like you have to be separating these for a reason. So like how are you deciding how these are being separated?
right? So, like,
Like you're
obviously it's
being
being separated by male female. So, like,
yeah,
why are
like
we
you're being
pretending that's
obtuse
not what it is? Like, that's what drives me nuts.
about being inclusive.
But it's not. You're still
I don't.
segregating.
It's not. It's definitely not. But that's
It's
this
so
is what we have
dumb.
convinced
It's
ourselves.
so dumb. It's like I don't know. Like so what's next? Like
That's what I was saying. Like this is just a testing ground. Then we're going to go to do something else.
so dumb. It's so stupid. Anyway, some games that I wrote down that have it, Demon Souls remake has it, Elden Ring, you mentioned that before, Gunner. Fire Emblem Engage is going to have it. I'll be honest with you, this game doesn't look. I don't like the red and blue
No, I don't like
haircuts or
that at all.
whatever. Like it
I'm
just
not a
looks
fan
weird.
of it. Yeah.
I don't know who was just like, yo, I love Pepsi so much, I'm gonna make like
I didn't
design a
even think of
character
that.
off of it. But
We are all Pepsi
somebody
Man now.
yeah,
Like seeing the game as a Fire Emblem, okay, it looks like a solid.
yeah, that's
It's JoJo's Bizarre Fire Emblem.
yeah,
I can
that's the
follow
problem for
it.
me as well. It's just like, but I do like Fire Emblem. I just don't like you, the
And so
character that I'm supposed to be.
unless there are skins in the game, bro, I know we're not promoting microtransactions, but Nintendo want to like add some color. I might slide him. I might slide him a 5 to kind of get one of those on my character because it's just like, who dressed you? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing out here? You know, in an anime world with pink hair and blue hair and green hair, you just want to be the extra one.
Yeah.
Another game that has it but doesn't have it, and I didn't know this until I did like a little research on the topic, was Tiny Tina's Wonderland. And for
The
gender or
hell?
sex, they have this one or that one, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
Now I don't know if that's Gearbox kind of just poking fun
I think
or
so.
poking
I don't know.
fun, but still not angering the Bluebird people.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But I thought it made me laugh when I saw that. I was like, okay, that's funny. Um. So yeah, I don't know, man. I from my experience, again, like the people who are part of that group don't really give a shit. Like they'll just they'll pick the gender that they actually identify as, not necessarily the one they were born as or with. They would just, I'm a guy. In my heart and soul, I'm a guy, so I'm gonna play with the guy character. Like I think they would pick that faster than they would pick the vague type A or type B. I don't even know which one is which. Like I don't know if men are type A or if women are type A. Like it doesn't. It might not even be consistent between games. Like it might just be random.
Yeah,
I don't
because
even
that's
know.
how it is. It's not random, but there's like multiple options in Division 2. So it's just like I'm getting there, sort of, kind of. Eventually, like you get one of the body because I don't remember all the body types in Division 2, but eventually you get there where it's like, okay, this is a woman or woman enough. But you will get a certain point where it's just like I don't know which one is which because that could also depend on the game because something like Fire Emblem, which is very anime esque. Like there's clearer distinctions of what is female body type and male body type. But Division is just like, all right, well, we're all technically soldiers trying to survive this infection. So like we're not going to be naked. We're going to be fully clothed and we're wearing armor. So you're gonna have to like really look at the face and kind of
It
go
was
from
really
there.
hard, and which I get. It's just like, yeah, it's a lot easier to justify a tough woman is not going to be on the cover of a Victoria's Secrets magazine, but it's going to be real hard to justify this dainty double D woman with a fucking vest going, "I'm a soldier, respect me." It's like, I mean, not to, if you out there, props to you, lady. But I mean, it's that's a whole other conversation of just like the CQ scene, the fucking 6 foot, 240 pound man. But I can kind of understand that from Division. So I was, yeah, I get that. It was hard to make, I guess, a traditionally feminine woman in that game.
Yeah,
But in
that's
that
why like
game,
something like that I don't mind it because like I'm supposed to be military trained. Well, if I'm going through military training, I'm not going to be dainty and fucking big
you're
titty. I'm
building
going to be
muscle whether you like it or not. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And like I
before,
said, it's an
go ahead.
airborne thing. It's no, I was just gonna say, just reiterate it. Like, yeah, it's like you're fighting a disease, so you want to be fully clothed because you don't want any of it on you.
Yeah, there's no time for like armor bikinis. Like
Yeah,
I'd be upset if they went that route.
I mean, I think that's great because a complaint I've heard from female gamers is female armor, right? Like, why do I have to wear bikini armor or whatever? So it sounds like Division addressed that, and yeah, we're all military. We're all soldiers now, right? And they all have like they're actually geared up, which I think is cool, right? Like it makes sense to me. Like logically, it makes sense. It may not
yeah,
be the most nice thing to look at comparatively, right? It's like, well, I'd rather see
yeah,
a girl in bikini than a girl in like
yeah. But
fucking
when you
military
bought the game,
armor.
you know what you was getting.
But yeah, right. That's the aesthetic of the game. Live with it, right? That's fine. That's just my male brain talking, right? Uh, but what I was gonna say before, before doing this topic, I said I don't remember if Skyrim did it, right? Like I don't know if they have male, female, or if they have type A, type B, or whatever. So right before, and you guys heard me doing the research, I looked at the video of somebody, character creating on a recent, you know, update of Skyrim Anniversary Collection, and they had a slider, and it was just all it said. It didn't say male, female. It didn't say type A, type B. None of that. It just said sex at the top, and it was a slider, and the the left hand side was male, was more masculine, and then as you slid more to the right, the character became more feminine, more a little smaller, a little more petite, a little softer, and if you scale all the way to the right, then it became essentially female. And I was like, oh shit, okay, that's an interesting way to do it, to where it's just a slider, right? Because there are definitely men out there who are more feminine, and there are definitely women out there who are more masculine. Not because they identify with the opposite sex, but more so that's just kind of their features. That's just that's just who they are, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But then I was like, damn, but this Skyrim had that before. And when I looked at a video from like 10 years ago of somebody creating a character, it was the same slider, but it wasn't a slider. Like it didn't function like a slider. It was a left or right. Like it didn't. There was no in between.
It was just a switch.
It was a switch, basically. Yeah, it was just basically male female, but it didn't say male or female. So in a way, Bethesda's kind of like ahead of the curve, right? Because they just had this like vague slider. It was like, okay, well you make it to whatever you want. So why do I bring that up? I bring that up to basically ask you guys: should that just be the standard now? Should all games just kind of do that?
I say yeah. If we're gonna, if we've already opened this door to, and I know people said you gotta fight at every turn, but if we've opened this door, I actually think Skyrim kind of did it the best way, right? You still have your male female. One end of the slider is traditional male. Other end of the slider is traditional female. So if you want to go that, just keep it with sex, right? They say is a spectrum. Just keep it. I want to go left if I'm a dude, right if I'm a woman, or I want to play a woman, or I want to play a dude. And if I want to do something in between, well, you got that whole slider to just customize what you want. And again, same thing like for Monster Hunter. Allow me to use all the hairstyle options. Allow me to use makeup no matter what I pick. Allow me to pick whatever voice. Allow me to use facial hair on who I want. And I don't know how much more. I don't know how much more you want at that point. Like I don't know how much more you want. You have everything. You have the slider, and you have access to all the customization options, regardless of what you pick. So my stance on it is, if we have to go this route, go with the slider route. To me, it's the lesser of two evils. Type A and Type B is just divisive and it's just dumb. Like I'll change my stance. Call me out in the comments. It's dumb.
Yes, join my side.
It is stupid.
It's dumb because it's just like, because when you told me about the slider, I'm thinking Skyrim came out what, 2012? Why is this not the standard? If you want this so bad, just make that the standard, right? Add the slider that maybe broadens your shoulders, narrows your shoulders, broadens your hips, narrows your hips, blah, blah, blah. And then we have the height sliders that have existed for eons. Mm-hmm. Done. You're done. That's it. You've achieved it. You've won. So, long story short, TLDR, yeah, I think we should go with the slider option if we have to.
Zeta, what do you think? Are you stuck in your ways?
Yeah, I'm stuck in my ways. I will make a compromise that it can be done for specific games, but I don't see the problem going away of like what Gunnar had of like, well, now what if I want to romance this character? Like, I still feel like you're an outsider if we don't define what you are as far as the game is concerned. Like something like Monster Hunter doesn't matter because, I'm just here to kill stuff. Like that's my job. My job is to kill stuff. I'm not here to romance anybody.
Mm.
I am here as Hunter. So
yeah, Guildmarm ain't gonna fucking become your waifu as much as you want.
Unfortunately, yes. So like something like that doesn't matter. Something like if we was playing, well, I guess I could just say Division because there's no romance in Division either. That doesn't matter. But something that's supposed to be like, oh, you are in this world and you can have a family. Like let's say
like
this was Fable or Dragon Age, Fable, freaking Mass Effect, all these things where you're supposed to have a relationship. For you as the player, this I guess would be great. I'm air quoting, but for the world, they're going to acknowledge you as one thing or another, and they're going to say yes or no to it, or they could just not care and just be like, yeah, whatever. We'll have sex with anything, which I feel would be just as weird because it's just like you would have to have some kind of a preference. Like if I'm supposed to believe you are like an actual person, you have to have a type. You have to like something. You have to have some kind of standard that you would be like, nah, I'm just not interested in you. I'm want to be racist about it. I only date my own people. I don't go outside of that, or I only date this type of freaking people. Like I only want humans. I don't want none of these other alien people, or vice versa, whatever you want to call it. So it's like the more, I guess, immersive the game is supposed to be, I don't see it working because you as the player is to stand out, and it shouldn't be that way if I'm supposed to be immersed. So yeah, I could compromise with certain games, but
here's the thing with that. If what I said earlier was true, where these people that would complain about this sort of thing don't even play games long enough to get to a point where that would even matter, then it doesn't matter, right? Like, because
it doesn't.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but it doesn't. But then, like the person who is affected is like somebody like Gunner who is trying to get immersed, and then it's just like, oh, I can't do that. So now this is the hindrance to him to appease somebody else who was never going to get there.
Yeah, but the difference is Gunner is willing to start the game over. Because, listen, you guys played old school RPGs, and you would tell me stories about like how you have to restart the entire game because you built the character incorrectly, and now you have soft locked yourself out of beating the game. Right? You guys have told me these stories, and I believe you. So you guys are you guys are cut of a cloth of gamers, of people who are willing to, okay, well, shit, start it over, new game plus or new game, right? These other newer gen people who would complain about this sort of thing, I don't have that level of grit to do that. Like, they're not, like, these are people who would complain if there isn't a checkpoint every 2 seconds.
TikTok videos are too long for them at this point.
You know what I mean? Like, this is two different mentalities here. So I don't know if what you're saying is really true. Like, it's true, but I don't know if it'll actually in practice, if it'll happen.
Yeah, in practice, it wouldn't matter in practice. Yeah, but
yeah, I'm not trying to call you a liar here. I'm just
no. I get your point. Yeah, because I'd be old man yells at sky meme. That'd be me right there. So yeah, you're not wrong. But I still can't change my answer because I refuse.
Fair enough. I mean, fair enough. This was just a weird, like, quirky topic that I thought, deserves to be talked about, because I don't really, when I did research on it, there was a few Reddit threads on it. There was like one YouTube video from some guy who talked about it. And so I was like, maybe this is something worth chatting about and worth just putting out there, right? For other people to listen to and maybe chime in about, right? So, like, for those listening, definitely let us know what you think, because I don't know, this is a weird topic, but like, I don't know if I have enough information to have.
Well, it's weird in that it doesn't, like, how do I say it? Like, if you don't, like I was saying, but like if you don't care about like immersion or something like that, then it doesn't come off, like you wouldn't really like notice it or pay attention to it. Like I said with like the Fallout example, where they just call you Wanderer. Everything just refers to you as a title. So like if you're not like that immersed, or you don't find that weird as to why they won't refer to you in any other way, then it's like you won't notice it. It'll go right over you. Or if like somebody like you, like I don't think you play any of the Elder Scrolls romancing people. You just do what you want and go on your adventure, and then that's kind of it. Like it's not
romance characters, but like it doesn't matter to that degree. Like I'll just romance whatever character is kind of around. Like, oh, she's all right, right? Like, whatever. I'll get a wife character just to get like the bonuses that come with it. But
yeah, that's what I mean. Like if you're not like that immersed into it, like it doesn't, like it's not something that's going to affect you, or like you're going to think about like that deeply about it. So it's something that's easy to put in there to just be like, we're changing this, but we're hoping or nobody's really going to notice or complain about it.
No, but there are definitely gamers who really buy into that stuff, the role playing stuff, and it depends on the game for me, right? Like I don't know. I'm trying to think. Has there ever been a game where like romancing was a big deal? Not really. But I know for Gunner, like you mentioned, the cyberpunk stuff, and I know other gamers who like that's a big draw for them. Like Dragon Age Inquisition. I didn't play Dragon Age Inquisition for the romancing options. I didn't give a shit. I was like, I want to kill these dragons, though.
Like, I slaughtered a whole village of elves. They were making my elf wife bad. I fucking committed genocide. That's just me.
So there you go. I played
Yeah.
Dragon Age Inquisition to kill the dragons. Like that's all I wanted to do. So
Oh, you must make your virtual wife happy.
Motherfuckers died that day. A lot
Yeah.
of motherfuckers.
Yeah. And even that, like, I know this. I guess it's not the same like connection, but I feel like it doesn't. I don't feel like there's like a separation that makes things stand out. Like I know Gunnar hates it, but like there used to be a time back in our day where it's just like you are a female, this is it. This is what you can and cannot do. You can only put on this armor. You can only do these jobs, these classes. I know Gunnar hates it up to high hell, but
Oh yeah, I hate gender locking.
yeah, we like you gender lock jobs, gender lock classes, or armor and stuff like that. And it's just like, but I felt like having something like that. I don't want to say it's like a necessary evil, but like you got different designs because of it. Because it's like, all right, how will this fit
Yeah,
this
yeah.
thing that we're going for? Like every time we would play Monster Hunter, it was just like, all right, all of the female armor looks, for the most part, more aesthetically pleasing on the female character,
mhm.
as opposed to where we're at now, where everything is kind of generic and the samey, or just like color swaps, as opposed to really being like really, really different, like how it was back in the day, back in my
Mhm.
day.
Back
Mhm.
in my day.
Yeah, there were
Yeah,
armors like I designed this a man with broad shoulders, a certain height. That's why this coat ends at this length. And if I put it on a model, that chick is gonna look like a cardboard box, just
yeah,
walking all cool like. Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like stuff like that is lost because, like, I don't remember if we talked about this when we did talk about Monster Hunter, but I feel like I've complained about the armor design
Not a
more than
podcast,
once. Okay,
but
yeah, because I know I've
personally.
complained about the armor design in like the new Rise and Sunbreak, and I'm just like this is very like not all of it is bad, but it's just like it's just not the same. It's just like that's the easiest way I can put it. Like it doesn't feel like that's cool armor. I want to make it for more than just the stats.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like there would be variations in the high grade and the just low rank ones, and then the G rank, and that just doesn't really exist. And I think that's because armor is more just standard. Like there's more like I think the Kieran armor. That's because that's just the Kieran armor look. So that's just like that's set in stone that the female has to look that way, and the male has to have the freaking
Yeah.
the unicorn mohawk. But everything else kind of generalizes.
I don't know. This is just a personal opinion. I like limitations. I don't think you should have unlimited options. Because
Yes.
uh, I don't know. You tend to make people tend to make, and I include myself. People tend to make bad decisions when you have unlimited options, or don't make a decision at all, right?
Yeah.
Because it's too overwhelming. So, like for example, taking it way back, when you guys told me about Final Fantasy 11, that game had hella limitations, right? I played with a Galka, and I was trying to become a bard, which was like the worst idea, right? But I wanted to do it. I wanted to see if it could work. Um, but humans were more fit for that class because they had more natural charisma than Galkas did, and Galkas had more like natural HP, so it would have made more sense for me to be a paladin or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Um, so I could see someone in my position getting upset at that. Me, I just saw it as a quirky challenge, but like I could see people like, oh, why can't I just be a efficient Galka bard? And it's like, well, the rules of this world say that that's not genetically, that's not how that's just not how it works, right? And I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. Like it should be that way to some degree because there are certain realities that
Yeah.
we can't really ignore as much as we want to. Like,
Yeah, that we can't overcome. Like none of us are tall enough to be basketball players, as most people would say. It's like
right?
it's just
Yeah.
not.
It's just not in the cards for you, pal. Like, there's some people who are good at math and other people who aren't. There are some people who are good at basketball and some people who aren't. There are some people who are naturally charismatic and talkative and social, and some people who aren't. And sometimes those qualities can be attributed to ethnicity, race, or background or whatever. Like, not always, but sometimes. And that's just the world, man. That's just reality. Like, what do you? That it is what it is. Cats are cats and dogs are dogs. Like,
Yeah. And I know somebody will use it as a counterpart, like, oh well, it's a game, and I'm buying this, and I'm just like, I still just end up going back to the circle of what I said, but if I'm supposed to believe that this is a world and they have their own living environment, like there has to be things that distinguish people from each other.
yeah, and I'm okay with that. I think that's I don't know. I like that personally. I think it adds charm and depth to the world that you're trying to create. If we take it back to Monster Hunter, back in old Monster Hunter, there was Gunner armor, and then there was Blade Master armor,
Oh
and then
yeah,
there
yeah.
was female
That's
armor,
why it
and then male
bothers me.
armor.
Yeah, you just reminded me. That's why it always bothered me because there is no difference now. It's just armor.
Yeah, and I
So
don't like that.
yeah, that was another design difference. The Blade Master armor was obviously heavy because I'm a Blade Master. I'm in the monster's face. All of the Gunner armor was also light on armor, obviously, but it was also very sleek to
Right.
to fit that purpose.
Because you're far away and you need to be able to roll and you're always on the move, and that makes sense, right? Like, and I love that because again, it adds depth to the game. So like, I don't know. Like, I know you mentioned earlier that Gunner would be upset that there'd be gender locked classes and jobs and stuff, and I understand the frustration with that. It's like, oh, I want to be a female paladin. Why can't females be paladins in this? I don't know if that's a thing. I'm just pulling that out of my ass.
In
But
some MMOs, yeah.
Yeah,
There are
not in
certain
11 instance, no, but in some games that is a possibility.
well, the reason
yeah.
I said that is because paladins are tanky guys who are supposed to defend everyone. So I attribute that to more of a male role than a female role. Females tend to be supportive, right? I could see females being white mages and healing from the back or whatever. Like, and it's not that I'm saying women can't defend. Like, I know how that could be taken out of, into the whole new thing. I'm not saying that, but
Clip it, cancel them.
traditionally, like, men are the protectors, and men are the ones who are more willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater cause or whatever. So a paladin male makes sense to me. Um,
Not like we can't have paladin females because freaking I forgot the character's name in Game of Thrones. Not that she's a paladin, but she's a
Brianna
big ass
Tarth.
woman.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brianna
she's
Tarth. Yeah.
she's bigger than a lot of the dudes.
yeah, she's a big ass woman, and she is the job that she is for a reason because she's a big ass woman.
Yeah, she's built for it. So it makes sense. So
Yeah,
taking
but
it back to the go ahead, my bad.
no, I was like at 14, you have like all raw for the female is they have like arms like twigs, and you're telling me this chick just blocked this demigod's swing? I dog. Carry on. Magic.
Yeah, it's magic. But to take it back to the hit my mic, my bad. I'm sorry, listeners. To take it back to the type A, type B thing, it's I feel kind of the same way. It's like this level of depth should exist. Like, it's okay, and that's just reality. And I think the Skyrim slider is probably the best compromise that we can have, what we can come up with to kind of appease all parties involved. Because for me, I didn't even remember. Like, I played Skyrim 1,000 times, and I didn't even remember that. I had to look it up. I had to look at some videos to see like the difference between vanilla Skyrim and modern day anniversary collection Skyrim to see what the changes were. And they were kind of ahead of the curveball there. Surprisingly enough, Bethesda ahead of the curve. Well, but they were, and I think other developers should look at that as a new standard to hit, so that they can avoid any uncomfortable bad press, but also keep their core audience satisfied with the product.
Yeah, and Zeta brought up a good point where if you're not going to make your story, which I think it's impossible without bloating your game to points where it's going to be unfinished, you're just not going to finish it because it's going to be hard. It would be nigh impossible, I'd say, to have your story kind of reflect the myriad of genders that exist. I know somebody that, anyway, but it'd be hard to reflect that. It's just easier to kind of reflect it in the binaries that exist. the male and the female. So, like Zeta said, if you have a petite guy with a beard but has big honkers, and the story goes, "Oh man, you're a really good girl," you're gonna piss that person off. But to ask the developers to spend time and tweak every story aspect to fit your created
That's
character,
unreasonable.
it's unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I don't mind character customization, and I'm not against it being 100% open as far as what you can do with a character, but to then translate that and expect the story to cater to your headcanon, no. It
Yeah.
maybe 40 years from now when we have cybernet, fucking cybernet terminators fucking making our games, maybe. But
But at
it's
that
just
point, we'll be at the full on Sword Art Online where it's like, well, I'm in the game at this point. Like,
yeah, at that point then yeah, you whatever you want.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean you can't sacrifice a story. If it's a game like Monster Hunter and the core gameplay loop is kill monster, make armor, kill better monster, then I don't give a shit. Make your character the way you want it, call it what you want it, make it do all the dainty poses or masculine poses you want to do. I don't care. You got the right armor skills, you're using the weapon properly, monster dies in a timely fashion. I don't give a shit what your character looks like. But if you're going into a heavy, rich story game, which has binary romances, maybe, bisexual romances, because that's might sound mean, that's easier to do in a video game. I'm a character that likes both men and women. Okay, so here's your dialogue. Man romances you. Here's a dialogue if a woman romances you. Done.
Yep.
That's as far as we've gotten in story games. Because ask is the game will never get finished. That's just
I agree. I agree. I agree. Cool. So, with that all being said, for those listening, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. Um, Leave a like if you did, dislike if you didn't. That's okay. Either one is fine. I'd like to see that feedback either way. Comment down below. Let us know what you think about the Type A, Type B, male, female deal, and like what your stance is on it. Subscribe for more content. We do podcasts every week, so every Wednesday at 12 p.m. we publish. We also do 2-minute reviews as well as long form gameplay content. If you want to check out our streams, I stream under Blankakong. I don't stream too often. I haven't streamed in quite some time, but if you want to know when I go live, follow me there. Follow Mr. Esoteric, who isn't present for this conversation, but he is the host of the channel, and he streams on the main channel, Logical Gamers TV, on Twitch. He streams every Monday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, I did mess it up. It's okay. We're doing it live, somewhat. So yeah, follow him there on the main channel. Yeah, he won't know. It's not like he listens back to the stuff. All right. So yeah, follow him on the main channel. He streams a very consistent basis. So follow to know when he goes live. We also have social media, so we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and we also run a Discord. So all those links are going to be in the description if you want to check those out. Great. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks again. Bye.
farewell.
bye.